Hey guys, welcome to the 4th episode of Release. I know that I don't sound as cheery and vibrant as I normally do in the other episodes, but I still share the same sentiment. I am grateful that you have taken the time to listen, and I hope that this episode and all the episodes bring you something. You can take something away from it. You can gauge another perspective. Whatever you went in needing to get, I hope that you get it by the end. As usual, there is a story. So when I picked this topic, which today's episode is about worthiness, which you probably already know because it's the title, but this episode is about worthiness. And when I felt like I was being called to talk about it, I started getting all of my thoughts together, putting it into, okay, this is how I felt, or this is where I felt my most unworthy. And then these are the steps that I am and have taken in order to get away from that. And this is, or I feel as though this is something that a lot of the collective is struggling with, me included. For the last few months, I've kind of fallen away from that feeling of unworthiness, but I feel like spirit, again, this is just the name I give for divine being. So the divine, Allah, source, whatever you call that divine being. I feel like I was being called to speak about it, but speak about it from the purest and rawest place that I could, because I want to be vulnerable and I want to be able to be genuine in every single episode. Every time I click record, I want to be genuine. And I feel like it's funny because I feel like Spirit was saying, okay, you want to talk about worthiness? Bet. We're going to bring you to a point where you feel the most unworthy, to a point where you feel as though you don't deserve anything. And I'm currently going through that. And maybe this episode will be, like I said in the last episode, I'm also learning with you guys. So this episode may be a reminder of things that I've done in the past to get away from these feelings. So we'll start from the beginning. When have I ever felt unworthy in my life? And the first thing that came to my head was in the church. When I say church, I'm talking about Christianity. So when I was in the church, I found myself feeling like I shouldn't be in that space. I felt as though we were constantly being told, in order to be a good Christian, you need to do XYZ, right? You need to read the Bible all the time. You need to pray twice a day. You need to go to church 3 times a day, whatever. You need to participate in blah, 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 blah. Right? And I was doing all the things, right? I was going to church 3 times a week. I was volunteering. I was doing things. I was on the choir. Like, I was doing all of it. And I still felt as though I wasn't worthy enough to experience the God that everybody was talking about. I felt like the only way for me to experience this God is to change what was on the inside. I had to change the person that I was in order to be welcomed into this family. And when I say welcomed into this family, I mean at church, like a regular Sunday, you'd have people crying and screaming at the altar and begging and getting into spirit and blah, blah, blah. Speaking in tongues, whatever the case may be. And I felt like those things would never become a part of me because for some reason I could never measure up to those people that I was seeing every Sunday. Now that I'm older, I know that a lot of these people were performing and they just probably had that same, like, I'm gonna do XYZ. And hopefully, if I do it enough, then hopefully I will start to feel as though I belong in this space. My unworthiness or feelings thereof, I don't know who the hell I think I am, but anyway, those feelings continued for a very long time. Like, I grew up in the church, and when I say grew up, I mean from birth. I was baptized when I was 12, and it was just what I knew. Even when the first time that I had sex, well, yeah, I cried for a whole year. I was in shambles because you're being told that sex before marriage is a sin, and obviously I'd be going to hell. So that weighed so heavily on my heart. And side note, having to save yourself for marriage is a fucking stupid concept. You do not have to keep yourself in any sort of state of being in order to be good enough for another person. I just wanted to get that out there because that shit is bullshit. But in the time, because I was so encompassed by the church life, I was struggling to be able, because when I did do it, I planned it. I was like, okay, I don't believe in this losing your virginity shit because, again, it's not a loss. You don't lose any part of yourself when you engage with another person. I just wanted to get that out there because I feel like a lot of people struggle with that concept because they hold it so high. Actually, let me backtrack. I do believe in soul ties, that if you express a level of vulnerability with someone, that you guys become connected in the spiritual realm, because one of the most spiritual activities is sex, like mind, body, heart, spirit, soul, engagement in all the realms. Like that is a powerful experience, but I don't believe that you lose any part of yourself when you engage in that. But as being told, not only told, but even when my mom was unaware of the way that I was feeling, or even the fact that I had decided to go through with that, I was still hearing the negative thoughts. The negative comments. I was still hearing, oh, she's not a virgin, blah, 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 whatever. And even though she wasn't saying it directly to me, I felt as though she was still speaking to me. Because, when your wounds are surface level, you are so easily triggered because it's like you're still experiencing it and someone is triggering it. So that experience feels so heightened. But after a lot of thought, I realized that the church, okay, I'm not going to say the church that I was attending was full of the most slimy, hypocritical, backhanded people I had ever had to experience in my life. Because as I got older, I realized that they were getting up every Sunday morning to dress to impress. And if you aren't dressed in a certain way, then you're not good enough. Why are you dressed like that? Why do you have earrings? Blah, blah, blah. I remember my grandma's cousin also goes to that church. And she would tell people, the elders in the church felt like they had the right to dictate how people approached the house of the Lord, right? They'd be like, oh, you're a boy. Why do you have earrings? Take out your earrings. Why isn't your chest covered? Cover your chest. As long as my nipples aren't out and as long as I feel comfortable in that, because my thing is that I'm going into this place to get something from this being. We're all going to this place to get something from this being. So there's no way in hell that you, as a human who does not have the capacity of understanding or love or just being, you don't have that capacity. So you have no right to discuss other people's beings. And I know even I've talked to friends that are Muslim, and they tell me about how even in that community, you find people that believe, even on TikTok, I always see people, like you see a woman and her hijab is kind of coming off a bit and you hear, oh yeah, you're so haram, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, who are you to judge? Who are you to judge? You have no grounds for that, ever. Okay. And I left, or not left, but I experienced that environment full of shame. And it wasn't only like church was the only place that I was feeling that shame. The feelings also came from my immediate environment, my family. And I find this a lot in Black families. They believe that you are supposed to go on the path that they think is best for you, regardless of what you believe is best for yourself. And they will shame you to the ground. They will kill every sense of individuality until you bend and submit to what they want you to do. Even as a child, I feel like a lot of children, especially in Black families, children are seen as little slaves. That sounds a bit weird, but I mean, like, you are not, okay, little slaves is a bad way to say it, but I don't have the right word to articulate the feeling, but it's like you're seen and not heard. Your opinions do not matter, because even my dad, he does it as a joke. I'll be talking to him and when I speak, I express myself with clear intent. I speak with a sort of finality. I'm like, okay, this is how I feel. And regardless of how you feel about the way that I feel, that shouldn't be imposed on me. You're allowed to feel the way how you feel, but your job in this conversation is never to try to convince me of your opinions in order to devalue the opinions that I hold for myself. And I feel like that's something that my parents have struggled, or has caused me to struggle with, because I am a very, I would say, a pretty quiet person. In the way that I speak, in the way that I kind of see, and I don't always comment on things because I'm always in the corner. It doesn't matter how distracted you think I am. I'm always paying attention to the small things. And I feel like Black parents, they silence you. Like I said, they try to bend you into submission. They try to silence you at a very young age. And maybe when I was younger, my mom said I was a quiet baby, but maybe when I was younger, I was never quiet. Maybe I spoke up. Excuse me. Oh my God. Spoke up for what I felt and how I felt. And that voice was silenced over the years. And now I feel like I'm finally getting my voice back. But anyway, that was a sidetrack. But another thing that I realized while in the kind of unworthiness, lack of acceptance that I was feeling, I began to feel as though compliments were a sign of that if I were to get I call this concept false humility, and that's kind of what I fell into. And to me, false humility is obviously falsely appearing to be humble. But that was never my intention. My intention was to push the spotlight away from me always. My intention was always to redirect all of that love and whatever the person was giving me right back to them. Because I felt unworthy of those compliments. Because when I was younger, when my mom, like, I would get a compliment, my mom would say, "Oh yeah, that's what you like." Or if I got dressed, I would be told, "Oh yeah, you're too much. You love attention too much, blah, blah, blah." And I would feel so diminished within myself that I started deflecting the fuck out of every positive thing that everyone said to me. And I find that really, really funny because, okay, not funny in like, oh my God, ha ha ha, but funny in like an interesting way. Because during slavery, when a child was complimented on the state of their health, state of their clothes, state of their skin, teeth, whatever, the parents would say, "No, no, 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 no." And they would criticize their child. Be like, "No, his teeth are crooked. His hair is falling out. He's weak. He doesn't eat. He's malnourished." Because that was the only way for them to stop their children from getting brought into slavery. And it's mind-boggling to me because I can see how my parents and other parents are unknowingly perpetuating this idea of unworthiness from slavery, like generational trauma, and they're unaware of what they're doing, but it's so ingrained within them, and they're so unaware of it that they believe that it is a part of their being and it shouldn't be ignored. But I'm talking about ways that other people have inflicted unworthiness on me. But now I kind of want to talk about how I have sort of inflicted that on myself. So obviously, those experiences have pushed me into a space of unworthiness, but sometimes it's like it becomes self-hatred, where if you're being told that you aren't good enough all the time, then you begin to believe that you're not good enough. Even as people of color, as women, you are told that you are not good enough. You're told that your hair is too kinky, or that your butt is too big, your lips are too big, you're not light enough, you're not dark enough, you're not feminine enough, you're not masculine enough, you have too much hair, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. When I say masculine, I'm referring to women. I mean in spaces like LGBT spaces where people have like an identity, like I'm a stud, which is like more of like a man, like a male dressing or male presenting in terms of like dress, demeanor, blah blah blah, gay woman, right? But someone can be a stud and they don't have to dress, they don't have to abide by the boundaries that are kind of placed in society. And I find it really funny because society changes its mind all the fucking time. Why do we have all of these beauty trends? Why do we have videos on YouTube, 100 years of XYZ? It's because people change their minds and other things become appealing and we move away from the old ways of life. And this really struck me when maybe like in the last year, there's something that people refer to as like the BBL epidemic. And a BBL, for those who don't know, is a Brazilian butt lift. It's like all of a sudden, all of these girls who are, first of all, not even fully developed yet, but all of these girls are putting themselves through this possibly detrimental surgery in order to look a certain way, in order to feel as though they're good enough. And I find that interesting, not because I'm against BBLs. Like, if you feel, and you know, you're fully developed, like 25, and you're like, okay, I feel like I would, you know, feel, I just want my body to look different. If it's like a genuine, if it's not being influenced by social media and it's a genuine feeling, it's even like people that get plastic surgery, people that get boob implants. Some women are very insecure about the fact that they have a small chest. That increasing the size of their chest increases their confidence. They feel like they can go out into the world. And they feel as though it feels like it's connected to worth. Of course it's connected to worth. But the point is, I remember when people that I knew, or even me, would get teased about my big lips. Even my mom used to tell me, your lips are too big, you can't wear red lipstick. I would get shamed for the way that my body looked, for the way that I presented myself. I remember when I was in middle school, I wore shorts because we obviously weren't allowed. It was like, okay, you have to put your hands by your sides and your shorts have to be as long as your, the end of your, what's this thing called? Middle finger. But there ain't no damn shorts that are down to your middle finger that you're gonna, as like an 8th grader, that you're gonna be like, ooh, I'm gonna fuck this shit up. But anyway, I decided that I was gonna wear shorts and with leggings underneath, right? I wore tights underneath. And that was modest to me. My mother was like, okay, you look cute, whatever. And my teacher shamed the shit out of me. She was like, your mother let you come out of the house like this. It would be better if you just wore the shorts because you're bringing attention to your legs and your butt, blah, blah, blah. And then I would constantly see all of the black, which, let's keep in mind that these girls are going through puberty. Their bodies are evolving at a rate that has never been experienced in their lives. They're growing and developing, and they already feel awkward enough. But let's talk about my experience versus another girl that I knew. She was white, and she would wear biker shorts to the end of eternity. She loved her biker shorts. She'd wear them with like a short little crop top. And a teacher never bat an eye at her. A teacher never bat an eye at her because her body wasn't being perceived as inherently sexual. To them, she wasn't trying to be hot. She was just trying to stay cool because, it's summer and summer's fucking hot. But for me and other little black girls, they were told, cover up. You shouldn't look that way. You shouldn't present yourself in that way. And I just found that really, sorry, I'm cracking my knuckles. I just found that really, really interesting. Really, really interesting to look back on and see how sometimes experiences stick with you and help to formulate the way that you perceive yourself without you even having a conscious understanding of that happening. So I've talked about my experiences with unworthiness. Now we're going to shift more into how to change or how to begin that journey of developing more worthiness, developing more love for yourself, developing more self-acceptance. So the first thing I want to put out there is that your body is the least important thing about you. I find so many girls, so many beautiful girls are so obsessed. If I could only get a bit thinner, if I could only, lose these pounds, if I only blah, 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 then I would be enough for me to love. I would be that body type that I strive so hard to be in order to feel as though I'm worthy of my own self-love. And it's funny because on the flip side, the girls that are dying to be thinner, there are girls that are hoping that they can gain a few pounds because they can see their bones. It's always hard to judge yourself. Well, you should never be judgmental of yourself. But I find that when I say, oh yeah, but there are other people, I don't ever want to invalidate anyone's feelings, ever. You feel a certain way about your body, and those feelings are valid. Those feelings, I want to lose a few pounds. I'm not saying that you need to lose a few pounds. What I mean is valid is the way that your life has pushed you to believe that is what you have to do in order to achieve love. But you are valid. Maybe I should reword that. You are valid in every single state that you have ever existed in, from birth until now, until death. Every single state that you will, because your body changes as you grow. You never see a baby being like, oh, my belly's too big. It's a fucking baby. Like, every single stage of your life is valid. And I just hope you guys know that. Take some time, soak that in. Yeah. So, also, I wanted to, not only is your existence within your physical body valid, and not only are you worthy regardless of your physical appearance, but your worth is not determined by any of those things. Your worth is not determined by a number on a scale. Your worth is not determined by your situation, your relationships, your religion, whatever you think outside of yourself that causes you to feel those feelings of unworthiness. No, No. No. They do not have the power over you. You shouldn't let them have the power over you in order to rewire your brain against yourself. So, the first thing that I feel like the first place you have to start is to recognize the feeling. Recognize the areas in which you feel unworthy. And again, this is more shadow work. I love shadow work. But anyway, recognize the areas in your life that you feel make you unworthy. You can make it, don't just think about it, actually. We're going to do an activity. Guys, I love when we do activities. But anyway, write a list. Get a sheet of paper. This has to be actual physical copy. Get a sheet of paper and write down every single, this may be very, very, very hard for some people and even hard for myself, but take it as slowly as you need to. Or maybe you have 1,000 things to write down front to back, but write those things down. And after you write them down, look at them. Look at all of these things outside of yourself that have imposed upon you. And then I want you to fold up that sheet of paper, crumple it, whatever way you want to do this. You can burn it, but get rid of it. Get rid of it, throw it out. That's a physical manifestation of throwing away all the bullshit that you've kind of harbored and taken on within your life. Because all of these things that you feel so deeply unworthy about are probably things that you have been told about yourself. Things that society has told you, things that your parents have told you, things that the church has told you, or things that you've learned through conditioning, things that have forced you into submission, things that have forced you into that mindset. And they are not you. They aren't you. These things are outside of yourself. I just keep reiterating that because you need to remember that these things are outside of you. They do not control you. They have never controlled you. You allow them to control you because of fear of what if I get past these things? What if I get past these things and I start feeling better, but I still feel that feeling, that imposition of unworthiness on my heart. But the second thing that I really, really, really recommend is to find practicality. We can sit in our rooms or wherever you are and do our shadow work, but our lives are not lived behind curtains. Our lives are not lived in the secrecy of our own hearts. You need to find practicality. You need to start detoxing your life. If there are people in your life, I know with relationships, this may be hard, especially with parents and stuff. If you can't delete them, and forget about them in your life, then you need to distance yourself from them. What people, and when I say like detoxing your life and I say people, ideas, situations, whatever it is that no longer serve you, then you need to get rid of them in some way. You need to purge all that shit in order for you to get to a better mindset, for you to feel lighter, for you to be able to invite light, for you to be able to invite change within yourself. Yeah. So for me, I began with cleaning out my social media. And when I say clean, like, yeah, I'm not like the block princess. I used to find it really hard to block people. But during this time in my life that I was purging, I had to delete people. And sometimes I know, like, when I did it, it was like, okay, I had to realize that I was doing this because these people no longer held space. They were no longer allowed to hold space in my life. They were no longer allowed to be involved within my energy and my evolution. So I would say, okay, you've done this to this person that I care about. I can't trust you no more. Or you've done this to me and I've kept quiet for too long. So I'm just going to ignore you and delete you from my life. And sometimes it's going to be a little bit harder than that. Even with guys that I don't really consider friends, if you delete them, they're like, oh, do we have beef? Bitch, it's fucking, we don't have beef. Like, I'm vegetarian. Like, we don't have no fucking beef. The issue is that you are not the energy that I want to align with. I'm trying my best to be intentional about the people that I allow to take in my energy and the people that I share my space with. And this may be a very, 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 very hard thing to do. Because sometimes the people that are the most toxic in our lives are, as I said before, our parents or our best friends or our partners. And you have to say, I'm choosing me. I'm choosing me because the most important relationship that I want to have, the most important relationship that I believe is important, is the one with myself. And no loss of relationship, even though it might be, and it probably will be fucking painful in the long run, no loss of a relationship ever diminishes your worth. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting a bit emotional, but that's something that I needed to hear, that no loss of a relationship diminishes my worth, that I am still worthy of life and worthy of all of the beauty that life has to offer without my connection to people that I believe brought that beauty into my life. The beauty of life is your existence. The beauty of life is you being able to get out there and feel all of the feelings and live your best life. My dad always makes jokes about me saying that, but realistically, living your best life. And I just wanted to point out that the journey to self-love is fucking lonely. It's very fucking lonely because you have to sit in your pain. You have to cry. You have to purge shit like a motherfucker. You have to do whatever it takes. And sometimes it takes a really long time. Sometimes it feels like you're not making any progress. But that time with yourself will help you to gauge how you can go back into the world with a better version of yourself in order to find more intentional people to be around, more high vibrational, more loving, whatever you need. You heal your heart in order to open your heart. And I feel like what I'm saying kind of, it feels like high stakes. I don't know. I feel like social media is a really big thing for a lot of people. And it feels like high stakes. You can even start with just Google. Start with Google. Start with YouTube. Read books. I love to read books. I'm a book nerd. I also like watching videos on YouTube. But go in search of all of the things that are available to you. Use all, because these are the things, the concrete tips and the concrete knowledge that you are going to take, and you are going to use that to better yourself and put these things into practice. And this process may feel, as I said before, it may feel really long, but you need to be gentle with yourself. Hold your own hand. Reach out to people that you feel will be able to help you along on your journey. People that you trust, and if there's nobody, then that's also okay. Y'all have me. I will always try to make myself the most vulnerable and available source of energy when it comes to uplifting and helping and healing the collective, because I feel like that's one of the most important things to me. And kind of the last thing that I wanted to touch on, or not the last thing actually. I feel like this should have been point number 1, but we need to start releasing fear. You need to release fear that if you do this thing, that your whole world will fall apart. Or if you do this thing, because remember, fear is very, very needed. You're going into a place where you've never gone before. You never experienced this. Fear is a human response. And you have to validate that fear and say, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it. It may feel like someone's stabbing me in the heart over and over, but I'm going to fucking do it, because you can't waste your time living on other people's terms, or you will live a life unfulfilled. You will open your eyes one day and you'll be 50 and you're miserable. Everyone around you is miserable. You feel empty and you're like, why isn't this job fulfilling me? Why isn't my home, my partner, spouse, my children, all of these travels, whatever it is, why aren't these things fulfilling me? It's because you were never supposed to be fulfilled. Those are experiences in life that you need to go into already overflowing with self-love. In order for you to feel the gratitude of life, you need to be grateful for yourself. And I guess my last 2 points sort of go hand in hand. So first, we're going to talk about forgiveness. This is going to be a journey of forgiveness. And I know that is a hard thing to wrap your head around. Not only forgiving other people for the shit they've done to you, but forgiving yourself for not having the knowledge that you do now, forgiving yourself for allowing these things to happen to you, or for the fact that you've been put into places where you felt small, things that you had no control over. You have to forgive yourself. Because with me in church, I had no control over, and even now, I consider myself a spiritual person, and I have my own beliefs and my own faith that, okay, before I get into that, you can't discredit, but back up a little bit. You can't discredit the things that have happened to you because they have taught you things, right? Just like being in church, fucking painful, and I have to unlearn all of that trauma. But being in church has taught me that I need to be an authentic person, that it is important to me as an individual to go into spaces with the most unmasked version of myself that I can do. And I can't sit up in my room, in my space, in my head, and cry about the fact that the church has traumatized me. You extract, and again, this shit is fucking painful, but when you're healing and when you've become more removed from the pain that these things have caused you, then you begin to see the lessons. You begin to say, oh, this was teaching me XYZ, and I wouldn't have learned this if I hadn't gone through this fucking hard ass thing. And I keep talking about the episode on healing, and I feel like it's going to come up soon. Like I said, when I'm being led, I'm being led. But this is kind of the way that because healing, this is an episode on healing in its essence, a part of healing. There's so many layers to that, and I really don't want to get into it. But my last point that I wanted to make was about affirmations. And a lot of people shit on affirmations. They may feel a little bit janky, like you're just saying, I am this, I am that. How the fuck does that rewire your brain? But I think of affirmations as a self-fulfilling prophecy. And if you don't know what that is, it is... Okay. Let's say that you tell a kid, you are stupid. And you tell that kid that they're stupid every single day you tell that kid that they're stupid every single day for 10 years. When that kid is asked, are you stupid? They will answer yes. When you put that child into a school environment, they will not give you their full potential because they have been taught that this is what I am. I am stupid. So you basically are told something and then you step into that thing. That thing becomes your destiny and it is out of your control, right? So with affirmations, it's kind of the same thing. So for me, sometimes I have negative thoughts, right? I will be like, oh my God, I'm so fucking stupid. And then in the same breath, because you saying that, that's also a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So in the same breath, I negate that feeling. I say out loud, I talk to myself a lot. I say out loud, I am not. What did I say? What was the statement that I just used? Oh, I'm so fucking stupid. Okay. I turn around and I say, I am not stupid. I am learning. I am developing. My intelligence is limitless. And you begin to speak life over yourself. Basically, you begin to set those little building blocks. So if you say to yourself every day, I am beautiful. Look in the mirror, say, I am beautiful. It may be so hard. For some of us have been told that we're ugly for our whole lives. Some of us have been told, oh, you're too this, you're too that, blah, blah, blah. So when you look in that mirror and you say, I am beautiful, it may be hard the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth. It may be hard every single time you try it. But you keep looking at yourself in that mirror and you keep saying, I am beautiful. Every single day, whatever affirmation you need to say, and you say it and you look yourself in the eyes. Because now you are replacing that narrative that has been put into you. And before you know it, you're going to start moving like you're beautiful. You're going to say, if someone calls you ugly, you're going to be like, okay, that's your opinion, but I am beautiful. So that has nothing to do with me. That's all on you. All your insecurities. Don't come to me with it. You begin to rewrite your own narrative. And I feel like that is so fucking beautiful. But when you put that energy, positive energy out into the universe, your energy, your being, you begin to align with your higher knowledge, your higher inner workings. And that sounds really like spiritual-ish and janky and whatever. But in like the most basic of terms, everything is energy. And Nothing can be created or destroyed. So if you have this energy within yourself that is like, I am fucking worthless, then you have to transform that energy. You have to reshift. You have to change. You have to release, because that is already a part of you. And rejecting parts of you is rejecting yourself. And that's not the goal. That's never the goal. The goal is to accept yourself as you are, or accept all the things that have brought you to where you currently are. And also accept the ways that life is gonna push the fuck out of you in order for you to change. And again, that's a fucking hard journey. But yeah, I think that's all I have for today. I just wanted to remind you guys, even though I just talked for almost an hour, this one's the longest episode so far. Almost an hour about it, but you are worthy of life. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of the most beautiful experiences in life. Even if you don't see it right now, even if you're so clouded. What did Brent Fies? Oh my God, guys, I'm stuttering. What did Brent Fies say? Your judgment gets clouded when you're clouded. When you're full of all of this stuff, you can't see past yourself. And I hope that this episode has given you guys opportunity to kind of see past yourselves. And I am hoping that you start on your self-acceptance, self-love, your worthiness journey today, because you have so much life within you that has been repressed because of shit that you've had no control over. But I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Be patient with yourselves as usual. I hope you guys have a great next 2 weeks. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.